500 tons of paddy enter this building every day. Not all of it leaves the same way. Some become table rice, some become sake rice. And the decision that determines which is which, made grain by grain, percentage point by percentage point, is what this video is about. Why Japan's rice is different. In most of the world, rice is a commodity, selected for yield and consistency. In Japan, it is evaluated with the same seriousness applied to wine. Designated production regions, named varieties, annual vintage assessments, retail prices spanning 20 times the standard rate. The dominant variety is Koshihikari, bred in Niigata in 1956, now 30% of national production. The benchmark, Uonuma Koshihikari, grown where snowmelt water, clay soils, and cold nights concentrate starch, sells for 10 times the standard rice price. What this mill does to it depends entirely on where it is going. The paddy intake 500 tons does not arrive at once. Trucks arrive continuously from farms and cooperatives. Every delivery is sampled immediately. Moisture measured, variety confirmed, grade assessed. A delivery outside moisture specification is held before it enters the milling line. Too wet and the grain damages during processing. Too dry and it cracks. Nothing moves until it is within specification. Cleaning and destoning. Before a grain can be processed, it must be clean. Paddy from the field carries dust, chaff, weed seeds, and stones. A single stone through a hulling machine damages both the machine and the grain. Vibrating screens and aspirators strip dust and light material. The destoner uses air pressure and density differences to move stones against the grain flow, exiting them separately. What remains is paddy in the condition required for hulling. From this point, the mill works only with the grain. Hulling. The husk surrounding the paddy grain is not edible. It must be removed. And the way it is removed determines the quality of everything that follows. Japanese rice mills use rubber roll hullers, two rubber rollers spinning at slightly different speeds, creating a friction and shear force that strips the husk from the grain without cracking the kernel beneath. The gap between the rollers is set precisely for the grain size of the specific variety being processed. Too tight and kernels crack. Too loose and husks remain intact. After hulling, a paddy separator removes any unhulled grains, returning them to the huller, while brown rice continues forward. The result is brown rice, the whole grain with the husk removed but the bran layer still intact. Brown rice is a decision point. From here, the mill can route the grain to two different destinations. It can produce whole grain brown rice for the health market, packaging and shipping as is. Or it can continue into whitening, where the bran layer is removed and the grain becomes white rice. Which path it takes is determined by one number. The polishing decision. In Japan, every bag of milled rice, whether for eating, for sake brewing, or for any other use, carries a number. That number is the seimai buai, the rice polishing ratio. It is expressed as a percentage. 100% is unpolished brown rice, with the full bran layer intact. 90% means 10% of the grain's outer layer has been removed. 70% means 30% has been removed. And so the scale continues downward. For standard Japanese table rice, the seimai buai is 90 to 92%. A thin layer of bran is removed, enough to produce the white color and neutral flavor that Japanese consumers expect from everyday eating rice. For sake brewing, the same number defines the grade of the sake itself. Honjozo sake requires rice polished to 70% or below. Jinjo sake requires 60%. Daiginjo, the most premium category, requires 50% or below, and some sake breweries polish to 23%, removing more than 3/4 of each grain in pursuit of the purest starch core. This mill processes rice for all of these destinations. The same grain of Koshihikari paddy, arriving at the same intake bay, can leave this building as table rice at 91%, as Ginjo grade sake rice at 60%, or as ultra-premium Daiginjo rice at 50%, depending entirely on the seimai buai set at the polishing machine for that batch. The decision is made before the grain touches the machine, not during, before. Whitening and polishing. Whitening and polishing are two different operations in a Japanese rice mill, and the distinction matters. Whitening removes the bran layer from the brown rice grain, the application of abrasive friction to the grain surface that strips the outer layers to the target semi-buoy. The whitening machine sets the degree of polishing, controlled by the combination of abrasive pressure, friction time, and the gap setting between the machine's components. Every batch runs to its specified polishing ratio. The operator monitors the output continuously, checking color, measuring the ratio, and adjusting until the grain matches the specification exactly. Polishing follows whitening and does something different. Where whitening removes material, polishing smooths and brightens the grain surface, removing residual bran dust and improving the grain's appearance, texture, and cooking performance. The polished surface of premium Japanese rice reflects light. It has a luster that lower quality or inadequately processed rice does not. For sake-grade rice at the lower polishing ratios, 60%, 50%, 23%, the polishing machines run for hours on a single batch. Removing half or more of a grain's mass in precise increments without cracking the kernel is a slow process. Speed produces cracked grains. Cracked grains produce lower quality sake. The machine does not rush, neither does the operator. Optical color sorting. After whitening and polishing, the rice passes through one more stage before it is fit for premium market. The optical color sorter. This machine, a Japanese contribution to food processing technology that is now used in rice mills worldwide, passes every individual grain through a high-speed camera system. Multiple images are captured of every grain in a fraction of a second. The machine's software analyzes each image for color, shape, surface cracks, and defects against a reference standard for the variety and grade being processed. A grain with a dark spot, indicating a damaged or diseased kernel. A grain with a visible crack that would produce broken rice in cooking. A grain of a different variety that entered the batch. A grain with discoloration from moisture stress in the field. All of these are identified individually at processing speeds of tons per hour and ejected from the flow by a precisely timed air jet before they can mix with the finished product. The agricultural grading system Japan uses for rice assigns grades based on the defect rate in a sample, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, in descending quality. The optical sorter is the tool that moves a batch from grade 2 to grade 1 by removing the defects that would otherwise fail the assessment. Every grain that passes the color sorter was seen, assessed, and cleared. The grain that arrives in a premium Japanese rice bag has been evaluated individually, not as part of a batch. Each one. Grading, traceability, and packaging. The rice that exits the optical sorter is finished product. What happens next determines not just how it is sold, but what it is sold as. Japanese rice grading follows the Agricultural Products Inspection Standards, a national system under which inspectors assess samples from every batch for size consistency, defect rate, color, and variety purity. Grade 1, the highest classification, requires a defect mix rate below a defined threshold and consistent variety authenticity. Grade 2 and Grade 3 follow with progressively higher defect tolerances. The grade assigned to a batch determines the price at which it moves through the supply chain. For premium varieties, Uenuma Koshihikari, Tsuyahime, Akitakomachi, variety authenticity is the critical premium driver. Japanese consumers pay for a specific variety from a specific region. A bag labeled Uenuma Koshihikari that contains a different variety or a mix is not just a commercial failure. It is a traceability failure. Modern Japanese rice milling operations maintain documentation at every stage, intake records, processing batch records, grading results, that allows every bag of rice leaving the facility to be traced to its source paddy, the farm or cooperative that produced it, and the date it was processed. Some premium operations go further. DNA certification, testing finished rice against reference samples of the declared variety, provides a verification layer that prevents substitution and supports premium pricing in markets where consumers pay specifically for provenance. Packaging is the final precision step. Automated filling and sealing maintains the quality the mill has spent every prior stage achieving. Weight accuracy, seal integrity, label correctness. The bag that reaches the consumer is the result of every decision made from paddy intake to this point. Full chain. Step back and look at what happens to everything this mill produces, not just the rice. 500 tons of paddy per day does not become 500 tons of white rice. The hulling process removes the husk, approximately 20% of the paddy weight. The whitening process removes the bran layer, 8 to 10% of the brown rice weight for standard table rice, more for premium sake grades. Those outputs, husk and bran, do not leave as waste. Rice husks have multiple applications. As a combustion fuel, they power the mill's own energy needs in some Japanese operations. As a raw material, they are processed into packaging material, insulation, and agricultural soil amendment. The high silica content of rice husk makes it a useful addition to soil structure. Compressed into charcoal, rice husk char is used in water filtration and soil remediation. Rice bran, the most nutritious part of the grain, goes to the rice bran oil industry, where it becomes one of Japan's most widely used cooking oils. What remains after oil extraction becomes high-protein animal feed. The cosmetics industry uses rice bran extract as a skin-brightening ingredient. Nothing from the bran stream exits the system as disposal cost. Broken rice, grains that cracked during processing despite careful moisture management and machine calibration, goes to rice flour production, sake brewing, or pet food formulation. Every output finds its market. For the home grower who produces any quantity of paddy rice, moisture at harvest matters more than any other single variable. The cracked grain rate in a home-processed batch is almost entirely determined by the moisture content at which the paddy is milled. The target is 14%. Above that, and the grain compresses unevenly during whitening. Below that, and it shatters. A simple handheld moisture meter is the one piece of equipment that prevents the most common milling failure. Brown rice is not second best. Eating homegrown paddy processed only to brown rice, no whitening, no bran removal, preserves the full nutritional profile of the grain and eliminates the most complex stage of the milling process. The rice that sustained Japan for centuries before the whitening machine existed was brown rice. The mill process this video walked through is a technology built on top of a grain that is already complete. 500 tons of paddy per day. And at no point in that 500 tons is any grain treated as interchangeable with any other. Moisture is measured at intake because the grain that arrives wet behaves differently from the grain that arrives dry. The hulling gap is set for the specific variety because koshihikari and akitakomachi are not the same size. The seimai is specified in advance because table rice and daiginjo sake rice are not the same product even when they start as the same grain. The optical sorter evaluates every individual kernel because a defective grain and a premium grain look almost identical to the human eye at processing speed. This is monozukuri, applied to a grain of rice. Monozukuri, the Japanese art of making things right. Not the philosophy of making enough, not the philosophy of making acceptable. The philosophy that every unit of output, every bag of rice, every grain in every bag, reflects the precision of every decision made before it arrived there. In a country where rice is not a commodity but a cultural object, where a bag of Uenuma koshihikari is a regional statement, where a sake brewer polishes rice to 23% over many hours in pursuit of a specific flavor profile, where the grade on a rice bag is a documented assessment with national legal standing, the rice mill is not a processing facility. It is the last stage of a decision chain that began in a paddy field months earlier, and every stage of it matters. If you grow rice, even a small plot, even in containers, the single variable that determines your milled rice quality is moisture at harvest, not variety, not soil, not growing technique, moisture at the moment of milling. Harvest when the grain is visibly golden but before the stalks have fully dried. Mill within days of harvest. Keep the grain above 14% moisture until milling. Those three decisions are the Japanese mill's intake protocol applied at home scale.